Hello, everybody. I'm Lexi Lombard, your host of the Lexi podcast, and thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Financial freedom is, in my opinion, the only freedom. If you have the freedom to make your own choices, you are free. And I want to encourage all of you to reach that status because it's great to have a safety net, but to be the provider of that safety net is a gratifying, safe feeling that is maybe one of the best feelings that I've ever felt in my entire life. My audience is primarily female, and if you're not female, you're primarily at least between the ages of 18 and 30, and I want to teach you my ways because I'm not an expert, but I've managed it, and I've found it, and I've maintained it for a decade now, and I want to encourage that upon everyone because how that feels is a feeling that you need to feel if you haven't thus far. I want to encourage you guys to make your own money, save your own money, and invest your own money to provide yourself the life that you desire. Let's get into it. And if you're thinking that I'm about to sit here and tell you, do you really need that $8 latte? That's not what this is about. This is not that kind of episode. I'm going to give you something different. If we want to talk about that, sure. But I'm going to give you what I have. Then I'm going to look through your questions and answer those. But first, I want to talk about making money. When it comes to financial freedom, yes, you can save, yes, you can invest, but the easiest way to get more money is to find ways to make more money. Yes, you could do the obvious of pick up a second job or start selling your items, but let's work smarter, not harder. If there's a way that you can increase your income without having to take a full second job, let's do that. And one of the easiest ways, whether you're working a salary job or if you're a freelancer, is negotiations. If there's a world in which you can be earning more money for the same work, that is the easiest, most effortless way to increase your income. It's not a question of work, it's a question of self-worth and being able to advocate for yourself. That's a matter of scheduling a meeting with your boss to have a check-in about the efforts that you've made in the last 6 months, the last year, get a title change, get a pay raise. If you feel you're worth more, your efforts have made a difference, the company is growing, do that. Do that for yourself. As a side note, I've found, outsider looking in, my friends who work in the corporate world, loyalty ends up making you less money in the long run, which I have found to be such a conflicting truth with my own moral compass. You would think that the longer you've been in a company, the more you'll make, but my friends that will spend a year at a company and then move to the next one, getting a pay raise along the way, have ended up making exponentially more. So that's another thing to think about. Now for my self-employed listeners, my freelancers, see if your rates are accurate to what you should be charging. I found in my own social media career that I was undercharging. It took finding new management to realize that I was making 50% of what I could be. Which, think about that, that's doubling my income. It takes the same amount of effort for me to make that content, but I am suddenly doubling my income. I'm making a year's worth of income in 6 months now. And that has required no extra effort on my end. It's just a matter of negotiation. So first and foremost, I think that's the easiest way to increase your income is to see if there's room for negotiation. Another easy way to increase your income is to see where you can expand. If you're someone that creates content online, to see if there's another platform that you can post onto. TikTok has a creator fund, YouTube has AdSense. There might be a way in which you're posting, let's say, only on Reels, and then you weren't aware that, you're getting hundreds of thousands of views on your Reels. You don't have a TikTok. You can post those exact same videos that you're posting on Reels, except for you can post them on TikTok and make money from it. Once again, you've made the content anyway. You're posting the content anyway. You may as well get paid for it. Similarly, if you've created a long video for YouTube, to chop it up and give vertical videos on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts. Obviously, my background is in social media, so my examples are going to be pulled from that. But expansion could be in whatever realm you're in. Seeing if you can put your hand in something else that wouldn't require too much extra effort on your end. Now, sometimes making more money does require more effort. It could be a matter of realizing you need to leave your job and search for a new one. It could be a matter of having to create a new product, to sell a new product, or promote a new product. But let's start with the easy ones first. But just want to put the seedling in your head. If you're looking to increase your wealth, let's focus on ways to make more money as opposed to ways to save more money. I think when we're getting down to the details of, oh, I shouldn't have bought that $6 treat at the grocery store while buying groceries, let's not focus on those $6. Let's find you ways to make an extra few $100s. Let's find you ways to make an extra few $1,000. Let's not get caught up in the $7 latte. Yes, there is merit to that, but I think honestly, it's kind of a waste of time to focus on that. That being said, saving is an important element to financial freedom. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. If you're spending it as fast as you earn it, you are not creating wealth for yourself. I've always leaned a little bit more of a saver, even as a kid. I've never been too much of a spender. Obviously, I exist in capitalism. I enjoy things. I spend money, but I don't spend money like it's burning a hole in my pocket the way that I know other people do. My mom, for instance, when I was in middle school and I was going to the movies with friends, she would give me $20, which, wow, does $20 even cover a movie ticket now? Whereas before it would cover a ticket and snacks. I digress. Beforehand, my mom would give me $20 and say, you can keep the change. And that had me looking at the money differently. Whereas when my other friends would get $20, their mom would say, give me the change. So suddenly they want to buy everything. They're like, oh my God, I may as well get all the things I can now because anything I don't spend, I have to give back. Whereas my mom said, here's $20. It's your $20 to keep. And that allowed me the opportunity to think about what I was buying and whether or not it was worth it. Do I actually want candy today? If I do, yeah, let's get it. No issue with that whatsoever. But I don't need to get it just to get it. The goal of saving that you should strive for is to maintain 6 months to a year of your living expenses in your bank account at all times. That is a great goal to strive for. Anything after that, start investing. If you have 6 months to a year of your life in your bank account, you should be investing it. You should be making money off of that money. You do not need to let it sit there. I don't want to get ahead of myself because investing is the next tier that I want to discuss. I want to stick to saving, but I did want to make the point. Aim for 6 months to a year. Anything after that, that's invested. If you are looking to save, knowledge is power. Look through your bank statements, look through your credit card statements, see what charges are the highest and if those were worth it. Some months I have very clear, like, oh, what is this $350 charge? Oh, you bought pants at Dover Street Market. You know what? That's an outlier expense. I'm happy I got those pants. That's okay. I've had the same scenario with the alternative reaction where I'm looking through my bank statements and I'll see what is the $350 charge. Oh, this was a pair of pants from Dover Street Market. And I think to myself, I don't actually like those pants. That was stupid. They were just on a really good sale. And I thought, wow, this is a great investment piece. But ultimately, they didn't really fit well. I haven't found myself wearing them. That was something I could have avoided. But it's really just a good learning lesson. Like, where are my highest items? Sometimes I look through my credit card statements and there aren't very many charges that even exceed $100. The credit card statement is just a combination of many $30 to $60 charges on outings, groceries, food, restaurants, stuff like that. A majority of my money is spent on food. I'm a produce snob. I love to dine out. And when I did my taxes this year, just as a self-employed person, you're like, okay, here's a big chunk of my money. I didn't want to give it to you, but here I have to. And then May is sometimes just not a fabulously extravagant month. And that was when I was really making an effort to save. Okay, where can I save? Let's look at these charges. Let's see what's adding up and which of these charges does not matter to me. Because the classic argument of, do you need to spend $8 on a latte? It depends. Am I working at this coffee shop for hours? Because $8 is a very low expense for practically an office space for the day. So if I'm needing a place to get work done and to focus, $8 is worth it. Now, last summer, I found myself going to the same coffee shop every single morning because I was addicted to a certain creamer they had. And to cut me off of that, it was really a matter of finding a creamer that I liked that I could keep in my fridge. And then suddenly, I started saving $7 a day. And that added up. Another thing when I was looking to save money is I found myself getting a lot of these grab and go breakfasts and lunches. I would go to Erewhon and get a hot plate, which Erewhon is such a addiction sometimes because you're getting really basic food. Side of vegetables, side of carb, protein, when that was more than doable on my own accord. And I wasn't buying these because I was looking forward to them. I was buying these to go breakfasts and lunches because I was not in the mood to prepare them for myself. Now I'm just at the grocery store and I get a pack of bagels and cream cheese and I get some fruit and vegetables and I get some yogurt, and having grab and go options in the house makes my life so much easier. For example, I had a bagel before I came to the studio, whereas I would have very easily stopped down the street to get a bagel and cream cheese and spent $10 when the satisfaction of that wasn't worth the time or money. I'm getting the same satisfaction from the bagel at home, so I may as well do that. So it's a matter of looking at your charges. As I said, knowledge is your power, information is the best defense, and then deciding out of those which one's not important. If you're spending $400 every 2 months on your hair, do you actually love that hairstylist? Because maybe that's completely worth it for you. You're like, yeah, I know it's a little bougie, I know it's on the higher end, but I love my hair. It makes me feel really great. If I were to get rid of this, I don't think I'd be as happy. Then keep it. But for instance, I was driving kind of far away, spending a small fortune on my hair, and I wasn't even very happy with it. I was just as happy with my hair when my friend downstairs did it, and I was able to find a hairstylist in my neighborhood that her prices are half what I was paying before. I like her better. I enjoy the experience more. It's a better price and it's closer to me. So that was a way to cut expenses in half just through looking at which charges didn't matter to me. I was like, I'm spending a lot on my hair and I'm not enjoying this process. It feels like a chore. Also, when I started rock climbing, I couldn't climb with long nails, so I haven't been getting my nails done, and that has to have saved some money. But that's the point. It's like, do you enjoy getting your nails done? Keep that. How can we make more money so that when you go to get your nails done, you're not batting an eyelash? Absolutely, I want the art. Give me all the designs. I want Gel X. I want a gel coat. Do it. But if you're doing this out of habit and you're like, I don't even know if I really like these. Like, let me try nude nails. Do that. It's all going to be personal preference. So when you have people in your personal life or people on the internet telling you various things that you should cut out of your life so you can have more money, ultimately we want money so we can spend it on things that we enjoy. You know, whether it's conveniences, is it traveling, is it having pretty art on our hand? So I think it's just a matter of figuring out, what do you want to spend your money on? What are you spending money on that it doesn't feel important to you? Of course, we have these responsibilities as citizens of whatever, wherever we live, to have car insurance. It's like, obviously I'm not thrilled to be spending that every month, but it is what it is. But anything beyond that, I should be spending money on it because I enjoyed it. I shouldn't be spending $15 on a breakfast that I can just as easily make at home that I enjoy for just as much. Now, if it's a favorite of yours, keep it. My point is to look at your charges, find the ones that don't matter to you, find ways to cut those out, and then focus on making money so you can spend it on the things that you do like. Now, investing. A few years ago, I was hitting pretty big deals for the first time ever on the internet. I was receiving brand deals of a size that I was not used to. I had more income than I had ever seen in my life, and I was maybe 23 years old at this point. I was very unsure. I come from parents that I don't even know if they ever had investments. Their financial literacy was pretty rudimentary. From my awareness, if I had to guess, I wasn't receiving very much financial advice. Yes, I gave the anecdote of my mother, but they weren't telling me, you know, these are the index funds that you should have. Let's get you a SEP IRA now that you're self-employed, things like that. I knew nothing about it. But I did have people in my family that were very financially savvy. So I started asking them. And I remember sitting down with my uncle, and I was just transparent with him. I said, my income has increased in a way where I know I have money sitting in my bank account that I don't need sitting there. I truthfully don't know what to do with it. Do you have any advice for me? And he said, I'm going to put you in touch with my financial advisor. Give him a call. I had a call with this financial advisor. I really enjoyed him. And that's who I've been working with ever since. Now, if you feel you come from a family similarly where you're like, no one in my family has a financial advisor, or maybe you're very fortunate. Maybe you have a family financial advisor. Maybe your parents are financial advisors and you could speak with them immediately. Go ahead and do that. If you don't, ask around coworkers, bosses, etc., word of mouth from friends. Ask if anyone you know has a financial advisor that you can take a meeting with. And that has been such a relief for when I'm ready to move money from my account into investments, and having someone I can call and say, hi, can we put this much in the Roth IRA? Can we put this much in the SEP, etc.? Because that's not my area of expertise. I have pretty basic understandings of different investments and where you can put money away to have it grow. My SEP IRA, that's a self-employed pension. And the way that that works is when I'm paying my taxes, let's say I put $1,000 in it. I'm not being taxed on that $1,000. I'm taxed on it when I take it out. And then a Roth IRA is tax-free growth. You just have to stick it in there for a really long time. As if I'm not mistaken, I'm 99% sure that I can put $1,000 in my Roth IRA. Fantastic. When I take it out, I don't have to pay any taxes on it. So there are so many little things. And they keep it all away from us. And it's really not that complicated. That's the gag of it all. They want you to think it's so complicated. It's really not that complicated. For the financial advisor, at least, that's a matter of one phone call, giving your information, and then sending a message when you get your paycheck and you're like, hi, I'd like $2,000 to go here. I'd like $500 to go here. Let's talk bigger numbers. I want $50,000 to go in that. Let's go. I want everyone watching this video to have financial freedom. It is a goal worth striving for. Debt is something that a lot of us are all too familiar with. And if you can get yourself out of debt, get yourself enough saved for 6 months to a year of expenses, and then start investing the rest. I mean, you could invest a little bit earlier. You could put smaller amounts of money. Do whatever you want. My financial advice is to find ways to make money that are smarter, not harder. Save up 6 months to a year of your income. Invest the rest. I'm curious to hear what your questions are, so let's get into it. But first, a word from today's sponsors. Megan asked, how much of your monthly income should you be saving? In a perfect world, your rent would be about 1/3 of your income. You could have about 1/3 of your income for spending money, and then 1/3 could be saved. You could do 30, 30, 30. You could save 50 if you want, if you're trying to increase your savings. But I think 1/3 is a solid place to start. Brooke asked, how much do you pay for rent in LA? I pay $2,000, and that's before utilities, which honestly, as a 28-year-old in Los Angeles, it's pretty standard. Leah Wander asked, how to save money without hoarding money. I want to spend on the stuff I love, but also save. Sometimes you save faster if you have a concrete goal. You're looking to save up for a car. You're looking to save up for a new apartment. You're looking to save up for a pet. Sometimes that increases things higher. At least it eliminates any decision fatigue of like, do I want to go on this trip? Not right now because I'm trying to save up for a car. That being said, if you've been looking to save your money just so you can have more conveniences in your life, then let yourself live. Let yourself take an Uber if you're in uncomfortable shoes and you don't want to take the subway. Let yourself not have to shop with the filter of low to high on it. Just let yourself look at what you want to look at and spend what you want to spend on. If you want to add a shot of espresso to your chai when you normally don't, do it, you know? If you've been saving up money to have your indulgences or conveniences not be stressful, then tap into that. This is what you've worked for. Kelsey Wilson asked, would you date someone who made a lot less money than you? You like him, but you also like going to nice restaurants and going out, but he can't afford to. I mean, I wouldn't pressure him on that. I would take him out if there was somewhere special that I thought we would enjoy. But I have other friends that like fine dining and I could do something else with him. I wouldn't not date someone who had less money than me, especially if they had ambitions of their own and they were working towards something that's still attractive to me. It doesn't need to be so cut and dry. Like, there would be exceptions. Kelsey Williams asked, if you were a billionaire, what stupid thing would you spend money on daily to make your life better? I would always fly first class, never anything but. And I would make my travel decisions so last minute. I'd be missing a friend in Virginia and I'd be like, Kaylee, I am coming over. You just wait. I'm looking at flights tomorrow. I would love that. Same thing. Booking hotels. I would be taking staycations all the time. Oh, I had a stressful week. Let me just get a room at the Sunset Tower. I'd be renting cars every time I traveled. I would not want to be Ubering around. It depends where I'm traveling, I suppose. But I would be renting a car and I would be renting a convertible. I'd be renting a Wrangler. I would be getting the fun cars. I don't want the Ford Focus. No offense. Also, I'm taking an Uber Black from the airport. I don't want to walk to the shuttle. I would get podcast equipment for my house. I would get a second bedroom in my apartment. Have that be a filming studio space. That's more achievable. That's not billionaire status. Billionaire status is taking... I don't even know what billionaire status is, but the first thing coming to my mind is last minute bougie travel. Oh, how good does the beach sound? Should we just go to the Bahamas this weekend? Great. Let's find a nice hotel. First class seats. Non-negotiable. Absolutely. We're both getting them. I'd be paying for my friends. I'd be like, yo, Kaylee, you off this weekend? You want to come to the Bahamas? Great. Getting your ticket. That's what I would be doing. I see something online about a restaurant in Tokyo. I say, let's go tomorrow. That's what I want. I'd be taking staycations all the time too. Oh, it's been a stressful week. Let me just get a bungalow at the chateau. That's desirable to me. Marty Garcia asked for things I splurge on versus things I save on. I will splurge on food. I have become a produce snob since living in California. I go to McCall's almost every week and I'm spending $10 on sugar snap peas. That seems insane, but you would so easily spend $20 on a vodka soda. They're bringing me the same level of joy. I spent more money than my roommate on my apartment so I could have the better room. That felt worth it. I don't splurge on very much besides food if I really think about it. I'm still in my saving mode. Like, I want a better life. But I want my better life to increase in time. I want my luxuries to increase with age. I want to only get more comfortable. I don't want to live out my best years in my 20s and then perpetually try to relive them. But I definitely splurge when I'm going to a restaurant. I'm not really thinking. If I'm going to a restaurant, I want to try the food that they have there. I want to order a bunch of dishes and I want to try them all and share them all. If you're looking to just order yourself a simple meal and keep it to yourself, like, we should just cook at mine. Jocelyn Presley asked advice for how to financially afford a big sudden expense, like an emergency vet bill. Definitely within your savings, you should have a quote-unquote rainy day fund is what they call it, which is for those exact emergencies. You know, your car breaks down in the middle of the road and you need to get someone to come tow it. Yes, it's not fun, but unfortunately, those things in life happen, accidents happen, and emergency vet bills happen, and to make sure you have a nest for those savings. And as opposed to having to chop over that money when you're like, oh, I don't want to give it, just be like, perspective shift. Thank God I have this money. Thank God I can afford this. Thank God I saved my money for this exact occasion. I'm spending this money on what I've saved it for. This was the point. Instead of handing over the credit card, like, it feels way better to be prepared. Josie Wandra asked tips on how to actually stick to a budget. Funny enough, I've actually never had a budget that I've followed. I have an idea of what my monthly expenses are, roughly. Can we coin the term intuitive budgeting? I think I know intuitively if I'm spending above, within, or below my means. I have an idea because, yes, my income changes based on the season, based on the brands, based on their budget. I have been accustomed to this since the beginning of me making money, which is also really interesting that the way I've made my money as a teenager is the same way that I'm making my money now, besides some random side jobs of like babysitting, and I sold products door to door one summer. But for the most part, by and large, Platform AdSense and sponsorships have been the bulk of my money, and YouTube AdSense comes once a month. Sponsorships, sometimes they come either within 30, 60, or 90 days. So my body, brain, financial muscles have become so accustomed to knowing that money is not coming in anytime soon. And when it comes, great, but it could be months before I see that money after working that job. So I have really trained myself to know that I can't just spend a ton this week because more money is not coming in next week. I'm not getting a paycheck every Friday, which I think if you get a paycheck every Friday, you're like, okay, cool, I have money for the week. And I was training myself, or I was being trained, here's my money for the month. Here's my money for the next 2 months. Here's my money for the next 3 months. And I had that mentality similar to what my mom told me. It was like, here's the money that you've been given. Keep the change. And that's how it feels. It's, okay, cool, this is the money I have. I can spend it all. That's fine. If I wanted to spend it all, I have the freedom to do that. That is free will, my friends. But because I have that free will, and because I don't have a strict budget on myself, I've never felt inclined to go crazy and spend all of my money. It's similar to dieting. As soon as I tell myself, oh, you can't have that, what do I want to do? I only want to have that. That's all I can think about. Whereas if I say, you can eat whatever you want, you could go to the store right now and you could get 6 packs of Oreos. You could sit down and eat them all. By all means. Here's a seat on the couch for you. Put on your favorite show. Eat 6 packs of Oreos. Suddenly I have no desire because I'm allowed to. I'm like, well, I don't actually want to do that. But if I told myself, you can't even have 1 Oreo. 6 packs, down the hatch. Money is the same way. You can't spend it. You have to save. You told yourself you were going to save. You know what you're going to be thinking about? Spending money. You're going to be looking in the windows of all these stores, walking in stores, seeing all this inventory, and everything is going to be shiny. As soon as you get a gift card to that store and you have $500 to spend, suddenly it's like, well, I don't know if I want this. Like, maybe I don't need any of this. None of it's good enough, you know? But if you were told you can't have anything, suddenly everything looks good. So when it comes to budgeting, I've never been, you can only spend $500 this month. You cannot go a penny over. No. I just have it in my head. Here's what money is incoming. Here's what money is in the bank. What do we want? It can be simple as that. Madison Hoyt asked, is reading finance books an effective tool for learning how to be financially independent? I haven't read too many finance books. I just recently this summer read, or I guess this spring, doesn't matter. I read Psychology of Money, and that was a really beginner-friendly breakdown of money and how we think about it, because there is a lot of psychology involved in money. Depending on how you were brought up with it, money might be a really scarce thing in your head, and you might be really afraid of spending it, or you feel like you have to spend it. You can't stop yourself from spending it, and there are different concepts like the lifestyle creep, where the more you make, the more you spend, and then ultimately you never increase your wealth because you're keeping the percentages the same the entire time. So I would recommend that one. That's a pretty easy read. I had it in my Patreon as a book recommendation. I would start there. Oh, I hate the questions about student debt because I'm like, you shouldn't have student debt. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. Like, you wanted an education and now you're going to be stressed for the next few years until you can pay it off. So wrong. It's so wrong. Same thing. Oh, you got sick. Now you have to spend the rest of your life paying off these medical bills. There has to be a loophole. And once I find one, I will tell you, but I do not know. Cassie Frodden asked, do you ever get scared to spend money fearing you may not get it back? No, there's so much money to be made in this world. There really is. And there are so many different kinds of ways to make money these days that I don't fear that if I spend money, I'll never see it again. I do believe in the cyclical nature of money. Hannah B30 asked, is it risky to purchase a used car with full payment? I can't finance due to a lack of credit. You know what? I don't understand credit cards. I understand them, but I don't agree with them, is what I should say. For example, I think that if I have $15,000 to spend on a car, I want to spend that $15,000 today on that car. I don't want to have to break it down and have an interest rate or have to build credit with my monthly payments. I just want to say, here's what I've saved up. Let me buy this car. That makes sense in my brain, but they say it's not the smart way to do things. So you asking if it's a bad decision, I mean, me and my little monkey brain think, no, that makes sense to me, but I don't know. I don't know. Toucan Sam Smith, a classic username. Always feels good to say it. What does financial freedom mean to you? Financial freedom to me means the freedom to make my own decisions without having to take anyone else into account. I do not need to ask permission from anyone to make my decisions because I can afford to make them. I have built and created my own safety net, and that to me is freedom. Oh, questions about credit cards, because I do have credit cards that I like. That's a good aspect of this. I hadn't even thought about that, because when I was thinking about the car, I was just like, that doesn't make sense to me, but I understand. But on the other hand, I have a Chase credit card that I love. I'll put a link to it in the show notes because I forget what kind it is right now. So many benefits. If you sign up through a friend's link, you get a ton of points. I forget what the offer was. I think I got $800. And then my friend got maybe $500. They have different offers all the time. I'll put my link and then you can see what the offer is. But I accumulate points with it so quickly. I purchased a trip to Mexico last summer with my points. I purchased a round trip for Christmas Eve on my points. I will say, what else have I gotten with it? You can get hotels, you can get rental cars, you can just turn it into cash. And then the other credit card that I have is a Carrot card, and that is an influencer card. It's a content creator card. So if you are a content creator, also check into that one. I'll put my link for it in the show notes. And the Carrot card is really good if I, for instance, was looking to invest in a space or I needed production and I needed to make a really big purchase for my content creation. Maybe a bank wouldn't, or a traditional bank wouldn't understand that, but Carrot really works as a middleman to help facilitate those. Also, the card is metal, which is a flex, and it has @Lexi on it with the banner on my YouTube channel, which is fun. They're good at helping for the creator side of things, and then Chase is just a good travel card. And if I were to get a third credit card, I would probably get an airline one. Yeah, those are my 2 credit cards, though. I think 2 is plenty. And then I have my bank account, just my general checking and savings. The irony. Look at the DM I just got. What do you think about people saying that if you buy $7 coffees, you're being financially irresponsible and can dig yourself out of any problem if you just stop buying them and eating out so much? Basically, the underlying issue of whether short-term or long-term financial decisions are what cause the most distress. I don't know if that made any sense. Yes, it made sense. I hear what you're saying, because that is the overused, trite piece of advice. It's like, don't you be buying those coffees. They add up. Okay, let's say you bought a $7 coffee times 365. That's a little over $2,500. Instead of trying to save this $2,500, let's figure out how you can make an extra $2,500 this month. Let's figure out how you can get yourself a $15,000 raise. That just seems more worth your energy than trying to cut back on this coffee. That's my opinion. And it's possible to earn this money whether you're a freelancer who's self-employed or you work for someone else. These are both possible. There's always ways to earn more money. You just have to get a little creative sometimes. Or sometimes you just got to get the balls to ask for more money. Demand your worth. You know, you've been charging $6K, let's start charging 10. I'm also dying to talk about how self-employment works for social media, because I have been posting and earning money from social media since I was 15 years old and I'm 28 now. So I have 13 years of experience and it's shifted so much and I want to get into it. So I'm going to do that on the Patreon. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, I have a Patreon, and every single week after I end the episode for the public, I will continue the episode with the juicier, more personal details for the Patreon. I love the Patreon listeners. And also, if you're one of the people that joined after last week's episode, I feel like I had a bunch of newbies that joined. So hello, I love it. So if you're interested in that, I will have a link for my Patreon where you can sign up. And if this is the end of our time here, I would really, really appreciate if you left a review for me or rated it on the podcast app. It would really help boost the show. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for giving me your time. I hope this was helpful. So I guess it's goodbye. I'll miss y'all. See you next week. XOXO, Lexi.